some of you have traveled from a far distance to be here with us today for this very, very special dedication. On behalf of the city and my colleagues in government, I'd like to welcome you. And I'd like to take an opportunity to introduce my colleagues in government who have joined us here today. I'm just going to speak from here, right? Better? Yeah. To my right, no introduction necessary. All-time ticket topper, Rita Garcia. 10 to 10. To her left, former school committee member, now two-term city council, John Leahy. Long-time serving city councilor, former mayor, current city councilor, Jim Leonardo. Also long-time serving city councilor from before and current city councilor, Eric Kennedy. Corey is going to start introducing him as the comeback kid, because every election he comes back. Councilor Corey Florida. I do know that we have former city councilor, former mayor, Armin LeMays in the crowd. He's going to say a few words later as well. Before I say a few words, I would like to welcome John Giannino. John Giannino is a longtime friend of mine. I coach. This is an example of how you know you're getting older. Coaching one of his daughters. He's now a grandfather. John, could you please come up? He's going to start our ceremony with an opening prayer. John, thank you.
Oh, beautiful day to gather together. I know many of you could be doing something else today, but you chose to be here because you want to honor the memory of those who we gather for, those beautiful and precious souls. Continue to share stories about them, because if you don't share stories about those who have passed, they can die to you. So don't let, especially for generations that have come and will come in the future, that did not have a chance to know them in this life. I'll say a prayer, I'll say some reflections, and I'll end with a poem. To paraphrase Psalm 23, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. In verdant pastures he gives us repose, and beside restful waters he leads me, my cup overflows. Only goodness and kindness will follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell. They are all dwelling in the house of the Lord forevermore. I work as a hospice chaplain, but I'm here primarily because I'm the son-in-law of Bernard Gill. And today we gather to ask for God's blessings on this holy and sacred ground. And may tragedy never befall this place again. We are grateful to the city of Lowell and to UMass Lowell who made this day possible. We gather here together to honor the memory and the families and four beautiful souls, Patricia, Thomas, Marilyn, and Bernard, who lost their lives doing ordinary and caring tasks. The tragedy that took place here serves as a reminder to all of us of how fleeting life is, and to appreciate the air that we breathe and the relationships that we have. To hold on to our relationships, both family and friends, with fervor is tantamount. And what we do today and each and every day is truly precious and unique. Each of these four souls have made a significant impact on our lives. Their passing from this life leaves us not the same, but because they lived, we are forever changed. May they continue to be at peace and bless us each and every day, and may we be at peace knowing that we are blessed. Rodney probably thought it was going to be 30 seconds and I was going to be out of here. May this memorial stone, created in their honor, be a constant reminder that they made a difference, that their lives were significant. And for all those who make use of this park, know these good souls were once present in this area, and their memory will forever live on. May the unique and positive qualities that they possessed continue to fill the emptiness in our hearts that their passing has created. When it is our time to leave the earth, may at least one other soul be affected in a positive way by who we were and what our life meant. This will allow our living to be imprinted in the heart of others who dared to love us and who we in turn dared to love. We ask our God to watch over us, and may our loved ones lost too soon, Patricia, Thomas, Marilyn, Bernard, be ever present in our mind and in our heart. May their smiling faces look down upon us today and always. Amen. And now a brief poem that you may have heard before. It's called The Legacy, and it's written by Merritt Malloy, and it goes such as this. When I die, give what is left to me to my children. And if you need to cry, cry for your brothers and sisters walking beside you. And if you need me, put your arms around someone and give them what you need to give to me. I want to leave you with something better than words or sounds. So look for me and the people that I have known and loved. And if you cannot live without me, then let me live on in your mind, your eyes, and your acts of kindness. You can love me most by letting hands touch hands and letting go of children that need to be free. Love does not die, people do. So that when all is left of me is love, give me away. God bless you.
Thank you, John. Let me also recognize Selectman from Kingsville, Selectman Lamone. Thank you for joining us this morning. And before we get too far into this, this was, for those of us that grew up in Speckleville, this was a little wading pool. It was a pool for us to come and cool down in the summer, and we saw the transformation thanks to neighborhood leaders. We'll be performing later, Paul Belay. This park looks great thanks to you. And also thanks to a guy who makes us look good almost every week after week throughout the city. Parks are so important. Open space is so important for the people in our city. Tom Belgrad, where are you? This park has really gone through a great transformation. But back in 1972, while these buildings right around us were being constructed by Lowell Technical Institute, this horrific accident occurred that took the lives of 4 people. Patricia Booton, Thomas Brogdon, Marilyn Evans, and Bernard Gill. With the explosion of a propane tank followed by a flash fire, I can't imagine the panic, the fright, and the devastation that took over this quiet neighborhood. The events that took place on that day have left an indelible mark of the residents of Pawtucket and have forever changed the course of several lives. It was back in 2002, the daughter of Bernard Gill, Mary Giannino, along with her husband John, then contacted then Chancellor Meehan about doing something to recognize the lives lost on what was the 40th anniversary. It did take some time, but after this park underwent the renovations, a memorial stone was placed in 2014, thanks to our park commissioner Tom Belgrad and then Assistant City Manager Henry Marcia. And Henry, is Henry here? There's Henry. Thank you, Henry. So this beautiful monument has been moved from the entrance of the park to the middle of the park. Now for all that walk along this path, they can stop, take a moment, and reflect. Although it's been over 40 years, it's clear to me by seeing all of you in attendance here today that Patricia, Thomas, Marilyn, and Bernard certainly have not been forgotten. We are so very pleased that all 4 families could be reached. We thank you for coming today to take part in this special celebration. We thank Chancellor Maloney and UMass Lowell for taking very special interest in this dedication as well and assisting us today. We thank you, Paul Marion from UMass Lowell. Paul, come on up here, please. The idea of today's dedication, it came to our attention just a little over 4 weeks ago. Thank you to the East Pawtuckaville Neighborhood Group for your involvement. Thank you, Celine Gettings, and all that she put everything together on behalf of my office. Celine, please. Celine, say the mayor's office. And a special thank you to you, Patty Coffin of UMass Lowell, who coordinated today's event and worked closely with Celine. Okay, at this point, I'd like to call up truly the person who has been such an inspiration, who really transformed our park system since she has been on the council. She has made it a dedication, and when we go to any section of the city, any green space, they're beautified, they're dedicated for and memorialized for people who have been inspirational and have made such contributions to the city. It's my honor to bring up City Council and the Chair of the Park Subcommittee, Rita Mercier.
Thank you very much, and good morning to each and every one of you. Rodney, you just said my whole speech. There's really not much I can say, but I'll try to not repeat too much. But in March of 1972, 4 people, perhaps unknown to each other, sat in traffic right over here opposite what is today known as Oakley Hall. These 4 people died as a result of injuries sustained in the horrific construction site accident when a propane tank exploded and engulfed their cars. I want to mention the 4 people again. Bernard Gill, 52 years old, father of 13 children. Patricia Booton, 27 of 41 Coral Street. Thomas Brogdon, 17 of Dragon. And Marilyn Evans, 18, Lowell Technical Institute student who died of her burns. Picture this for a minute, and I'm almost apologizing for making this motion to bring you out to relive these memories. I'm sorry so much. Our hearts are broken for what you've been through. That's why this gave us a wake-up call to realize that when our families go off to work, to school, wherever, we never know when they're coming back. We never know. Picture for a minute that your sister, your son, your daughter, your father, your mother, your brother, your sister goes off in the morning and you get a call that they died. I don't know how, I can't imagine what you've been through. It's horrific. My heart, their hearts are broken. I'm sorry, but this day had to be because we needed to officially dedicate, and as the speaker said before, when Thomas Aquinas was in his study, a young monk came and said, "Your mother has died." And he shed no tears, and this young person said, "I can't believe that St. Thomas Aquinas didn't cry, didn't show any emotion. I don't understand that." And it troubled him all day long, and he knocked on the door again, and he said to Thomas Aquinas, "It troubles me why you did not cry. Why did you show no feelings?" And he said, "My memory of my loved one is in my heart, and as long as my memory is on my loved one, she will never die. my mother will never, never die. And today I want you to know that your loved ones will never die, because in this park we remembered your loved one, and I'm so, so sad. But it took some time to get the memorial finished due to the renovations of this park. But thanks to Tom Belgard, our city commissioner on Parks and Recreation, and Henry Marchand, who the mayor mentioned again, previous assistant city manager to the previous manager, and a memorial stone was placed in this park, and this is the official dedication ceremony. This motion is asking that I put forth was asked through the East Pawtuckettville Neighborhood Group. Steve Brogan, who is involved with the organization, but he's also in charge and the director of LTC, and Paul Belay. So can we have Paul Belay and Steve Brogan raise your hand so that we might Paul Belay, his father-in-law, was a firefighter at the time, Lucian Latulip, and he pulled a person out of one of the burning cars that had no clothes on, and his skin was all crystallized, and his father-in-law did that. And also, we have another hero amongst us, and that is former Mayor Armin LeMay. He was here that day, and he pulled a child out of a car with severe burns, and that child did live, so you are a hero. May I just say in closing, this is why I am a city councilor, because it's days like this that I get an opportunity to make a motion to make a difference in people's lives. Thank you so much for being here. God bless you, my
It's now my pleasure to invite Executive Vice Chancellor for the University Relations, who will be providing words on behalf of the university, Patty McCafferty. Patty?
Is it better the mic or not the mic?
Hello. Good morning, everybody. I'm Patty McCafferty, and on behalf of Chancellor Jacqueline Maloney and President Marty Meehan, I want to say how very pleased we are to be here to participate in this special dedication ceremony. 50 years ago, John Giannino reached out to Chancellor Meehan to ask if a memorial could be created to remember his wife Mary's father, Bernard Gill, and the 3 other persons lost as a result of the tragic accident in 1972. He noted that it would bring great comfort to all the families to honor lives that were lost too soon. John, you're right, that's something that we're doing now that we probably should have done before now. That led to discussions with the city planning staff, Parks Department, and others, which brought us to this day. I want to thank everybody for your advocacy to make this happen. Mayor Elliott and all the city councilors behind me, congratulations, by the way. You've done such a great job, and I want to congratulate the city Lowell employees for the fine work they did to renovate this park, choose such a fitting place for this memorial, and collaborate with university staff to reach out to all the families and plan this meaningful ceremony. Thank you also to all of our university staff who helped with today's event, particularly Paul Marion and Patty Coffey, as well as facilities, special events, food services, police, and university relations. Thank you also to the East Pawtuckettville Neighborhood Group for contributing to this event today. Today demonstrates what Lowell does best. We all, the university, the city, the neighborhood, all of our people pull together even in times of adversity to do the right thing. The number of you in attendance today demonstrates how the following were loved, cherished, and will forever be remembered. And I know you've said their names a couple of times, but I feel you can't say them enough today. Patricia Booth, Thomas Brogdon, Marilyn Evans, one of our students who is also remembered on this campus through the Marilyn Evans Lounge, and Bernard Gill, the father of 13 children. To the families and friends of Patricia, Thomas, Marilyn,
we'd like to bring up a former city council, former mayor, who actually was a witness and was actually a hero that day. He was at the accident, he arrived on the scene, and he was working construction that day, but he saved the lives of 2 individuals. Mayor LeMay, please come up and say a few words.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. You know, the last couple of nights when they invited me here, I couldn't sleep too much. Just thinking of what happened. And it was quite a day. I was running this job. I was building this building. I was not just working here. And we were about on the 3rd floor, approximately. And one of my foremen is sitting right there, Tommy Herron, was the carpenter foreman. And unbeknownst to all of us, one of his nephews or something died. All I want to say, you know, I'll never forget it. And it's the first time since it happened that I speak publicly about it. So, I just want to tell you, my good friend, who was another foreman I had, Rocky Fusco from Quincy, we had just come from a lake. We used to let all the guys, we had about 50, 75 people working on that project at the time. And we went to a late lunch because we made sure when they come back for lunch, they were working on the floor because we had to get the job done. But anyway, I hope you can hear me anyway. Here, I'm going to tell you exactly what happened. Because I was right at the corner of that building, across the street, and I says, we're just there, me and Rocky. And, you know, I saw the cars. By the way, there were no cars up here. The closest car was at the end of that building, right near a pole, and they just took that pole down. As you can see, the burn mark almost 50 feet up in it, on the top of it. They just took that down about a year ago, and I felt kind of bad. But it's gone. But anyway, Rocky and I are just, you know, standing there. I said, they were moving the tank, a huge tank about 20 feet long, and they're taking it off the sidewalk. And I'm looking, I said, Rocky, that valve broke off the bottom of that tank. And you know, and while we're looking down, and here's what I could see. The first car was a woman. She had the door open, and she was standing next to the door, wondering what was happening. And all of a sudden, the flames, they were so high up, they came about halfway. And thank God they didn't go back to that tank, because I would never be here today. Nor would a lot of other people. Because it stopped for whatever reason. And propane gas runs like water. It follows the lowest point. And that's how it runs. Like water going down a hill. And I don't want to hold you too long, but I got to tell you. Well, anyway, I said, Rocky, that woman. And there used to be a fence around 4 foot high. I was much younger then. And I ran and hopped over that fence. I didn't want to get out on the street because there was still not big flames. There was a lot of smoke. You couldn't see too much, but some of the tires of the trucks, there were two trucks. And that man who died, I remember him. Wow, this thing. But anyway, the first thing I just ran along, and I didn't want to run in the street because I didn't know what was going to happen. So when I got at the end of the fence, which was about where I thought the woman was, I just hopped over the fence, and I'll never forget it. She was laying there. I went over, and I held her. And the first thing I knew, she couldn't talk, but she was on her last legs. She said, my children. I said, where? You could not see in the car, because the door was open, and when the flames went up, it puffed out the inside, but it didn't burn. It wasn't burning. You could not see. It was just black. I said, where are you? She said, just see. I ran, I took one of the children out, and somebody was outside, and I handed the door, and I tried to pick up the lady again. And she said, another child. I said, where? In the back seat. So I reached, I couldn't see. I just reached and I grabbed. And then I ran with her up to the building. And there was a policeman there in a cruiser. And he took me to the hospital with the child. Thank God they had woods on. It was March, it was cold. Because it was winter. So, anyway, the gentleman guy ran towards me and I couldn't help him. But he was feeling. Well, and then I found out, father, about 8 or 10 years later, I was sitting and eating at a restaurant, and I don't remember it. He came over and he said, this is the man who saved the life. I'm about 10 years old. That's all I can say.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you for your efforts done, and thank you today. It's now my pleasure to bring up on behalf of the family of Patricia Booton, representing the family of Patricia Booton. Please come up. Welcome. Come up for some remarks on behalf of the family.
I'll stand here if that's okay. My name is Tim Kempton. Patricia Booton was my sister. She was one of 9 children of the Kempton family who grew up in Drayton. She graduated in 1962. And I just wanted everybody to see what just a beautiful girl, lady, person she was. She had a husband named Bob Booton. Bob, right there. He been a great friend of the family. He's been a great brother-in-law to us. We love him dearly. They had 3 children. Their oldest was a boy, Bobby. And they had 2 daughters, Brenda and Bonnie. This is Brenda and Bonnie, and I want you to stand up. Please. Real heroes happen to be on the scene when things happen. And you were there for a reason. And I want to say on their behalf, thank you. It's a wonderful day today to look back on this tragedy, but to see that life does go on and wonderful things happen after the tragedy. I know their mother looks down from heaven every day and sends her blessings to them. They've grown up to be wonderful ladies, beautiful girls. They have wonderful husbands. They have families of their own. Every day I know your mom looks down and blesses you. I want to speak on behalf of the Booth family and the Kenton family to say thank you to anyone and all of you who fought for us. It's been a long time coming. Not a day too late. It's wonderful that you did this. Every time I come by, I'll come by here and remember this. And our hearts thank you from us. I want to thank everybody else that came today. I know there's other people who were involved. We all share this tragedy together, but together, with God's love and grace, we move on and we remember the good days. Thank you again.
I'd like to now ask John Reardon to come up and speak on behalf of the family of Thomas Clark.
I've been asked by the family of Ricky, we call him, Tom Clark. So I'm here to say a few words on behalf of the family, and I find it an honor to do so. My name is John Reardon, and my nephew, Thomas Clark, was better known as Ricky by his family and friends. And was one of the 4 victims who lost their lives in that tragic accident March 10th, 1972. I have a picture of Ricky. It was in the paper shortly thereafter, and it showed at the time what he looked like. It picked a good day for this. But first and foremost, I want to thank the city of Lowell and the university for promoting this day, and the mayor and people on the podium here following through to make sure this happened. This memorial took place 43 years ago. This dedication will ensure that these victims will never be forgotten. Ricky was the first grandchild of both the Brogdon family, my sister, Louise, and he was the first grandchild of both the Brogdon and the Reardon families. He was 17 years old. He was a senior at Drake High School. And he was always known as a loving kid, a good kid, happy-go-lucky. He loved working on his car and was looked upon as an inspiring young mechanic. But he was also willing to help others when they needed it. As a matter of fact, at the time of the accident, Ricky was giving his best friend, Joey Felton, a ride to work at Lowell General Hospital down the street. Joy is with us here today. Sitting in the car. And so he was with him that day in the vehicle when this tragic accident took place. Ricky was the only child and pride and joy of his mother, Louise, who is with us today. Louise, you want to stand up, please? Well, more particularly, I want to thank all the friends and families, and there are plenty here we can see, who came here to honor and pay tribute to the lives that were lost on that fateful day. Thank you very much. Thank you.
We will now ask Barbara Warner on behalf of the family of Marilyn Evans to come up and please give some remarks. Thank you, Barbara.
Hello, I'm Barbara Warner. I want to first off extend a sincere thank you to all who had a role in planning this dedication. Unfortunately, my parents could not be here today due to their advanced age and inability to travel. It means so much to me and my entire family that people took the time to organize such a meaningful tribute, and I would especially like to thank Celine Gettings and the Mayor's Office for reaching out to me so that my sister Barry and I could be here today with our husbands. Marilyn was my older sister. Marilyn. At the time of this tragic accident, she was a freshman and just 13 days shy of her 18th birthday. Driving our grandparents' car to school that day instead of taking her usual bus, and only because they had taken a once-in-a-lifetime trip out of the country, put Marilyn in the wrong place at the wrong time. She was simply walking to class on that fateful day, and our lives were forever changed. A young man whose name escapes me had the presence of mind to pack Marilyn in the snow in an attempt to save her life and ease the pain caused by horrific burns that covered most of her body, and then stayed with her until the ambulance arrived. Sadly, my sister passed away 2 months later on Mother's Day in the burn center at Mass General Hospital. My younger sister Barry was only 4 years old at the time, so her memories of Marilyn are few, but my memories of her are many. Marilyn was kind, smart, a loyal friend, and a really wonderful big sister. I still miss her and often wonder what our lives would have been like today had this never happened. Marilyn was a very bright student and was planning to major in biology. She loved the sciences and enjoyed creative writing. My sister was 2 years older than me, and I was always envious of her because learning and retaining that knowledge always came so much easier for her than it did for me. She was my confidant, she was a role model, and my best friend at the time. Marilyn was a kind-hearted, generous soul who undoubtedly had great things ahead of her. Her passing changed the course of my life and that of my entire family forever, but it also taught me not to take life and those we love for granted. It was an important lesson for me at a very young age. I miss her smile, her warmth, her love of family, and yet cherish the memories of our time as sisters. So thank you for giving me time to speak here today and allowing me to share with you a little bit about who Marilyn was and why she was so special to all of us.
Thank you so much. I'd like to now call up Mary Giannino on behalf of the family of Bernard Gill to come and provide some remarks. Take the floor.
Just have a little bit of information for us right now. I just want to wish our daughter Janie, whose birthday is today. Janie was our fourth child, but the first one to be married, born here in Lowell, way back when. And today brings me to a point in my life why John and I came here to Lowell for today. Because we lived in South Boston at the time of the accident. Good morning. My name is Mary Fels. Giannino. For those who know me, I'd like to acknowledge a special birthday for Janie. And first of all, I'd like to thank my husband John, who wrote a letter that allowed this day to come to fruition. January here in Lowell, got a job here in Lowell, and then John was director of pastoral care at Saints Hospital in Lowell for many years. He has now moved on. He is now a hospice chaplain doing amazing work. I'd like to thank all of you who made this day possible. I love you. This is my grandson Rowan. And who really responded wonderfully to John's beautiful letter. And also thought this today was a good idea. To all of the family and members and friends of each and every victim, we now have a face and a common bond. Marilyn existed in the hospital with my dad. We saw Marilyn for 11 days, walk in the halls of the hospital, and when my dad passed, we thought Marilyn was going to be just fine. She was a wonderful, wonderful, we spoke to her every day. To acknowledge and memorialize the seriousness and the loss of Patricia, Thomas, Marilyn, and Bernard on March 10, 1972, which has had an impact on each of these families' lives. This is our ground zero. This is the New York Towers. This is the sad day in Boston. This is ours. We, each family, were affected in the same way. Each family were affected and now have a symbol that will be permanent and remind others of this fatal day. That day, March 10th, 1972, was a beautiful day. It was much like today. I had been out in South Boston with my son taking a walk, who was 3 months old, my oldest child. I'm the mother of 7 children. We were living at the time in South Boston, and my best friend Peggy and I were walking our babies. Her little girl Christine and John grew up together. Bernard's first grandchild was John. He wanted so much to be a granddad. My mom always said he just loved being a granddad. His name is John Jr. I had finished my walk with Peggy and headed to my mom and dad's home to visit my Nana with John. My mom, Margaret Gill, was her name. She's not here today, but I'm sure she would have been if it was at all possible. I hadn't been there more than 10 minutes when my brother-in-law, Arthur, banged on the door with the sad news that there had been an accident in Lowell and Dad had been hurt. My first question was, where's Lowell? Second, and how far is it from here? We knew I was serious and waited to hear what we should do and where we should go. We found out my dad was taken to St. Joseph's Hospital in Lowell, but transported to Mass General Hospital to the Burn Center, where Dad was so amazingly cared for by wonderful hands who truly cared for Dad and our entire family. Every day we existed there, and I can't say we lived there. My dad did not live, he existed there in pain. Literally and figuratively, they took care of us. 11 days later, Dad died from all the complications of his burns. Dad was a father of 13. My mom told us on Wednesday, when talking to her, my mom lives in Plymouth now, we take her to lunch every couple of weeks or whenever we travel down. She called us perfect children. She said she has 13 perfect children. She raised 9 children. There were 4 married at the time by herself, because anyone knows that so many people want to help, but when the door closes at night, their mom did such an amazing job. She was alone. My mom is my hero. She's still alive. She's 91 years old and will always be my hero. Mom has been the best example of what it is to be called mom. My son John was the only grandchild at the time in my parents' life, and my dad loved every moment of being grandfather. John, who was 3 months old, would disappear every time my dad would take him into his room and just lay down with him. I have beautiful pictures to this day. When my mom, without my dad, went on to have 37 amazing grandchildren, and now 34 great-grandchildren, many of whom are right here. And I believe that he's taking care of every one of us from heaven. He lets me know that because I find dimes everywhere. Dimes were something he collected. Let me go back again to the accident and the reason I believe John and I have settled in Lowell from South Boston. We came here so that I could hear the stories of the sad day in our life. I so appreciate and thank each and every responder who cared and took care of Mr. LeMay, the neighbors, and of senior sons, played ball with my husband. John delivered newspapers. My son delivered newspapers to your son's house all the time. The responders who cared and transported these victims on that tragic day. I would have never have heard of the response my dad gave Mario Seppi, who was with my dad, who was a traffic supervisor, when he was lying in the road. My dad heard that there was a mother who was hurt, and Dad said to Mario, "Go get that mother. Leave me be and go get that mother." Mario has since passed, but those words I have held close to me every time I pass this area, because I live right on Mount Hope Street, right around the corner. So I go by here a couple of times a week. Yes, you see, I live very close, and I have a good friend who delivered a son right across the river that same day, John Dunham, who felt a tremor as she laid in labor at St. Joseph's Hospital. Another friend was traveling from Shed Park and told me she thought it was the end of the world, the black smoke. You see, John and I were meant to settle here in Pawtucketville, for us to have and dedicate this beautiful stone to 4 names who are now memorialized here. To Mom, to Barbara, to Patricia, to Margaret, to Kathy, to me, to Eileen, to Ian, to Bernard Jr., to Alice, to Ann, to John, Michael, and Robert Gill. I am so happy to bring each and every one of you so close, some closure and peace. I love you. I thank all of our cousins, our friends who traveled a bit. Your being here warms our heart. I know I can speak from all of us Gills. To my sisters, and especially my brothers who were left without a dad, they were little. They were 9, 11, and 8. I don't remember their ages, I'm sorry, I was one of the older kids. I'm the 5th of the 13 children, by the way. You along the way had uncles who stepped up and left you along your journey, and we are so thankful. To our Auntie Ellen, who is my dad's only surviving sibling here, and his only sister, this day is for you also. To our mom, who is our guiding light in our journey of motherhood. You always said your faith brought you through it. Thank you for your strength and love. Love me.
Thank you so much, Mary. We'd like, before closing our, that concludes our speaking program, and before we have Paul Belay from the Pawtucketville Neighborhood Group, living right down the road and a long-time Pawtucketville resident, he's going to play Amazing Grace to conclude the ceremony, but before we do that, let me thank you on behalf of the city. We would like to, we're going to do the unveiling. Robert, and John, and Barbara, and Mary, we thank you for your heartfelt stories that you shared with us today. We know today is a bittersweet day for all of us. It's an emotional time. But as Councilor Mercier mentioned, we need to do this, because that's what we do in Lowell. We honor those who died before us, and we will not forget. So with that, please come up, Robert, John, Mary, and Barbara, for the unveiling of the stone. And if folks want to kind of gather in the front with your phones and cameras.
Do you remember the days?
And then Mary, why don't you go right here? And then Robert, you want to come back here? Or... So, we come real quick. So on 3, we'll just all pick up and just flip it back here. Okay? 1, 2, 3.